Hi everyone, we're at FIA EXPO, the Futures and Options Expo in Chicago. I'm joined now by Roger Burkhardt, who is Chief Technology Officer at Broadridge. Roger, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
You bet. I've been looking forward to the conversation.
Likewise. So I wanted to start off by saying that, well, I think Broadridge is leading the way in artificial intelligence. Recent launches of yours include Bond GPT and Trade GPT. I wanted to ask you, is AI the future of finance, sort of in broad macro terms?
I think it's having an enormous impact, and I've been doing AI in finance for about 20 years now. And what I'm seeing here is just a tremendous acceleration in the pace at which you can deliver value with these new technologies. If I think back to sort of predictive machine learning-based analytics that we have embedded in a lot of our products, like our LTX corporate bond trading system or our payoffs prediction, our post-trade world. These are models where you expect 6 to 9 months of development to go from a concept through various iterations into production, right?
Sure.
And Bond GPT literally was from ideation to production with 200 hard-to-please corporate bond traders in 6 weeks.
I see.
So I mean, we're starting to get used to measuring things in weeks instead of months. All right. And I guess the other thing in terms of the speed, but the other thing I would cite is that there's just a tremendous democratization of AI. So it used to be you needed a team to go build something for a specific purpose. But GPT, it's that in there you've got P for pre-trained and T for transformer. It means basically it's a general purpose tool. So you don't have to have a data science team building something special. So both in terms of pace and the breadth and scale of impact, I haven't seen anything quite like this in 20 years doing AI in financial services.
And I think you just mentioned, I mean, partially this rollout of these services and products is based on increasing demand from your client base, right? In order to utilize these solutions.
Yes, a lot of demand from clients to be smarter in the way that they drive products. In many cases, their customers are asking for smarter products, AI-infused products, right? And so that demand is very real. And we're also learning from the response of traders to these early products that people like to have an LLM-enabled user interface. Or to put it in less technical terms, people like to have a system they can use natural language with. So the corporate bond traders that are using Bond GPT tell us that they can get an answer to a complex piece of research in 10-15 seconds. And if they were to go to their traditional market data provider and that expensive terminal, they'd be spending, estimates range from anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes just to get the same thing. So it's intuitive, it's fast, and we also ensure that the results are completely accurate and that no IP gets leaked, which is, of course, the concerns that hold some other people back.
Which is always very important when we're talking about AI. If I could ask, I think you've just begun testing multiple AI technologies with Broadridge's BRX data model.
Yes.
Can you tell us which use cases you're focusing on initially and where will it go from there?
Yes, so the raw material for all AI is data, right? The economists called it the new oil many years back, right? And so that is true. And by data, what we're looking for is consistent, accurate, harmonized data so that the meaning of an order is the same regardless of asset class. The meaning of a fail or an exception issue is the same. And so BRX is the big investment we've made in harmonizing data across asset classes and indeed across a broader spectrum than merely Broadridge systems. So the team that built that are very familiar with working with all kinds of vendors prior to joining us. And so what it gives us is a consistent set of data. How are we using that data? We're using it in helping traders interrogate the progress of their orders that they're working. Maybe an agency trader wants to see how he's doing or how she's doing with a set of orders. We're using it in operations. So an operations professional could say, which of the breaks I should focus on?
Sure.
All right? And then we're using it also for people who are doing trade and transaction reporting to regulatory providers. And they get a question from the regulator and they want to be able to say, okay, what's settling on Chinese New Year, which was the demo that Hugh Daly gave quite recently up in Cyprus. A lot of interest in that. So really, front, middle, and back office in terms of our products. And then internally within the firm, we had people using generative AI to help them answer customer questions in a customer service environment, using these tools to more rapidly customize one of our products for our clients. So our platforms can have many, many different choices or feature switches. Just understanding, which of the feature switches I should turn on for a prime broker as I get them onto our platform is actually kind of a nuanced set of decisions.
Sure.
And so there's the two big worlds. There's the world of products, and there's the world of customer service operations and our own productivity. So it's a very broad spectrum.
Sure. And so when we talk about this broad spectrum in which AI could be used, I mean, we could obviously all agree that AI shows great promise in many different avenues and venues, right? Both globally, just in the world, but also for our financial market participants, our sort of niche in the financial services industry. But at the same time, some of the global thought leaders, are warning of AI's risks. And I'm wondering, do you think there are particular risks to using AI within the financial services space, outside of let's say protecting IP or property or data?
Well, I do think that there are risks, particularly when you're serving the individual investor and making decisions like, do you give someone a loan or not?
Okay.
Where the risks of bias in the data used to train the model are very real. And if we look at the regulatory environment, the Fair Credit Reporting Act in the US goes back a very, very long time indeed, right?
Sure.
And so I think firms have learned how to manage that. An area actually I led some research in my consulting world was how do you avoid a model putting the bias that's implicit in human decisions and sort of turbocharging it.
Yeah.
So I think we know how to do that. And I do think that we can manage these risks. I also think that there are whole areas of application where you could say, this is a safe harbor area. There really isn't a risk here. And areas like making decisions that affect individual investors, clearly a sensitive area.
Sure.
So when you think about the whole spectrum of what we've talked about, all the different areas, there's quite large areas where you can say, as long as that you have accurate data and at least you avoid leaking any information, there are areas where there are big safe zones to go and make progress.
Sure.
And we're a big believer in having our staff across all different functions learn by doing. And so we've built a platform which has various safety controls in it, and then we're encouraging people to go and experiment within that broad GPT platform, which is our internal platform. And that platform supports both externally hosted SaaS offerings like OpenAI, but it also supports leading edge open source models that have been released by people like Meta and Google, which are very competitive. And week by week you see different models being better than the other, leapfrogging each other. So we've created a safe platform and one that allows us to be constantly introducing new models that are fit for a particular purpose. And so we can encourage our teams just to make very, very rapid progress.
That's pretty awesome. I wanted to talk about market data because Broadridge recently launched BRX Match, which helps address the growing volumes of transactions across asset classes, and it's really causing an explosion in both structured and unstructured data. If you could tell our audience, how does BRX Match work?
Yeah, so BRX Match is a new technology suite of products that builds on something we've done for a very long time, which is helping people reconcile data and work out where there's an exception. And so we have a history of having dealt with really, really complex, difficult reconciliations.
Sure.
And then some people are looking for the ability to have very simple, almost self-service kind of matches, right? And so we said is there are a variety of different products out there. Let's redevelop this under a modern user interface, and so that for the user who just wants to do something very quick and easy, it's self-service. And for something that's got a really complex matching problem. It's got all the richness people look for. And so it's a holistic product, and it also integrates into our operations console. So if you think about matching, the happy result is it matches.
Sure.
The not so happy result is we have an issue, right? We have a break. And so being able to surface that break into a single operations console where the end user can say, okay, let me look at all my breaks, let me prioritize them. And that's where, again, we're using GPT to help the ops user say, what are the breaks I should focus on first?
Sure.
What are the breaks that are all related to each other? So BRX Match, modern technology platform, in one place you can do the really difficult stuff as well as the easy stuff, and then a single pathway to the operations user and say, okay, well, the stuff that didn't match, what do I need to do with it?
Great, awesome. I wanted to also get your thoughts on the new rules that were proposed by the SEC back in July, requiring broker-dealers and investment advisors to address conflicts of interest associated with their use of predictive data analytics.
Yes.
When interacting with investors. Where does Broadridge stand on this issue?
Right. Well, we really don't sort of get involved in lobbying around the SEC. I do think that talking to our clients, they're really hoping that this gets a little more focused and it feels very broad to our clients right now, and they're trying to look for a little bit more specificity. I do think that hopefully as it evolves through the process, the concerns of the Commission will get a little bit more tailored to specific concerns. So I mentioned one earlier. We know how to deal with bias in loan decisions. We've done it for 20 years. Right? So, what are the specific areas where people need to pay attention? Because if it's too broad and not well enough defined, I think it will put a bit of a chill out there. And it's to the advantage of individual investors to get the power of these new tools, giving them better insights, maybe helping advice get traded for them.
Sure.
And so there's always this balance between, from a policy point of view, people want to see that the value of the tool is delivered,
of course,
but also to mitigate any potential harm. So it'd be interesting to see how it evolves through the process.
And I would think that your customers are kind of proactive in working with you in terms of voicing their opinions and things like that to the Commission and maybe other regulators who are thinking about these kind of things and are trying to basically establish sort of more level playing field or rules for the space. Yeah,
well, we try and be a thought partner with our clients because our clients thinking, okay, what should we say to the Commission? Right? That's their responsibility, not ours. We're provided to them. But, we have deep expertise in the data that we manage for those clients and also in how to use AI and predictive analytics. And so we're happy to be a thought partner with our clients as they think through how they want to represent their views to the Commission.
Sure, great. I guess, Roger, as a parting question, it is day 2, right? The show will be wrapping up later today. I guess, what's your one single sort of most important key takeaway for the participants at this expo this year?
Well, I was very interested in the little survey we ran in the AI panel, where we asked people what they were doing with generative AI, and half the audience were already working with generative AI. A small number in production, but quite a lot in sort of early exploration. For a technology that really has come on the scene in less than a year ago, half the audience say, no, we're already working on it. I think points out the pace of change.
Sure, yeah.
That was interesting response.
Awesome. Well, Roger, thanks for taking the time to speak with us. It was a pleasure to get your insights. Good luck the rest of the way at the conference and beyond.
Great conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.